Hi everyone. This lecture is about intimate partner homicide. First, I'll cover some intimate partner homicide statistics. Then I'll talk about the danger assessment. Last, I'll go over traumatic brain injuries. First up, intimate partner homicide statistics. Intimate partner homicide, often abbreviated as IPH, is the killing of a current or former spouse or significant other. Overall, 20% of homicide victims are killed by an intimate partner, but separating men and women victims reveals a pretty big difference. 55% of women's homicides and about 5 to 8% of men's homicides are intimate partner homicides, meaning just over half of women who are murdered by a current or former partner. In most cases of women killing men partners, there was violence against the women, indicating that the murder was in self-defense. Data from 2018 homicides of women where the relationship between the victim and offender could be identified showed that 92% were killed by a man they knew. Further, 63% of the women murdered were killed by current husbands, boyfriends, or ex-husbands. This slide shows the intimate partner homicide rate for women murdered per 100,000 people. Keep in mind this is the rate, so it does make the problem seem quite small. But this is because women are murdered way less often than men. So overall, the intimate partner homicide rate for women murdered between 2003 and 2014 is 2, meaning 2 out of every 100,000 people. But there are pretty big racial differences. Black and Indigenous women have an intimate partner homicide rate over 2 times higher, and white women have an intimate partner homicide rate slightly lower than the average rate. Put into context, we know roughly 55% of women who are murdered are victims of intimate partner homicide. That percentage is higher for Black and Indigenous women and slightly lower for white women. We also know that most murder-suicides are actually cases of domestic violence, making them intimate partner homicides. And once again, women make up a vast majority of victims. However, intimate partner homicides are not a uniquely American problem. Worldwide, 2023 estimates show that 60% of murdered women and girls were killed by their intimate partners or other family members. This is taken from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime Femicides in 2023 report. Here is the cover of that report. Next up, danger assessment. The danger assessment is a list of 20 questions that can be asked of women who are victims of domestic violence by a male partner. Police and domestic violence advocates administer danger assessments the most, but they can also be administered by healthcare workers, religious leaders, and other community leaders. You will interact with the danger assessment in the discussion forum, so I'm not displaying the questions here. However, I will give you the official scoring breakdown, and not every question is worth 1 point, so the 20 questions can give you a score of up to either 39 or 40. Scoring less than 8 means the victim is in variable danger. This low of a score does not mean a woman faces no risk. It means she should be careful, trust her gut, and be on the lookout for signs of danger. She still faces a risk of being murdered by her boyfriend or husband. Scoring between 8 and 13 means a woman is facing increased danger. She should be advised on how to create a safety plan in case she needs to leave or she wants to leave. If her boyfriend or husband is arrested, evidence of his abuse should be given to the judge for sentencing. If he's on probation or parole, he should have a more intensive supervision. Scoring between 14 and 17 means a woman is in severe danger. She should develop a safety plan as well, and again, if her boyfriend or husband has entered the criminal justice system, those judges, prosecutors, and community correction officers should be made aware of the abuse to incorporate into their decisions. Women scoring 18 or higher are in extreme danger and should receive immediate professional help. The perpetrators should not be allowed bail and should receive maximum sentences if convicted. Again, receiving a low score does not mean a woman is not in danger of being murdered by their partner. The average score for women who are murdered is less than 8, and about half of those women did not realize they faced a high risk of being murdered by their boyfriend or husband. Next up, traumatic brain injuries. We usually hear about traumatic brain injuries, often abbreviated as TBIs, in sports, usually football, and the military. However, women domestic violence victims experience traumatic brain injuries 11 to 12 times higher than the military and athletes combined. This is because 80% of domestic violence victims have experienced a head injury. This is a good example of men and women having similar victimization rates, but different impacts. Remember, men and women have similar victimization rates of experiencing physical violence, but women have higher rates of severe physical violence and being slammed against something than men. It is because of that severe physical violence and being slammed into something that most domestic violence-related traumatic brain injuries are experienced by women, but men certainly can and do experience them as well. Traumatic brain injuries are really scary on their own. However, the impact on domestic violence victims is unique. A traumatic brain injury can make you forgetful, spacey, tired, and may even make you look drunk in how you react to things, stumble, and talk. An abuser can use your forgetfulness or weird behavior as a way to get custody and keep you from seeing your kids. Or your incoherent statement or forgetfulness can prevent you from being taken seriously by police or by the court. A judge might feel less sympathy for you and what you're going through when you're acting odd or having trouble answering simple questions in court. Additionally, a traumatic brain injury can make moving around or focusing difficult, which can negatively impact a victim's work performance. If a victim is at risk of having hours cut or losing their job because of their TBI-related performance, they can lose income and even be more financially dependent on their abuser. That concludes this lecture on intimate partner homicide. Stay safe.